Hermitcraft builds just look good. From mega bases to smaller builds, I broke down exactly how to build just as good if not better than the Hermit. So here are 5 tricks that every person on Hermitcraft uses that will instantly make your builds better. And stick till the end because I'm gonna give away the biggest secret every builder uses to make their builds look better. Creativity is one of the biggest factors when it comes to building in Minecraft, and the members of Hermitcraft have a lot of it. Just look at the shopping district. Even though most of these builds are pretty random, it has some kind of a charm to it. The amount of different builds is impressive and they're all unique. Just take a look at each Hermit's base. You can see how different they all are. No base is similar from one season to another, and they all seem to get bigger and better. So how can you be more creative then? Well, it's easier than it might seem. Use websites like Pinterest or Instagram to your advantage. You can find tons of cool art from Minecraft, other games, or even real life. I love nature, so a good walk in the forest is great inspiration for me. But maybe for you, scrolling on Pinterest for a couple of minutes will give you plenty of inspiration. But don't take it too seriously. Part of why the members on Hermitcraft are so creative is because they go with the flow. A lot of their builds aren't planned ahead of time. Something funny happens, like Grian not being able to fish up a mending book, and from that came a super cool underground build, which brings me to story. Like Grian's underground build, a lot of things are built on Hermitcraft with a story behind it. For example, when the Hermits were sent to the Empire's world, they created this super cool build, and it wouldn't have been built if they weren't sent to the Empire's server. Similar to that, this build wouldn't exist if Grian, Scar, and Impulse didn't need villagers. They could have just put all the villagers underground, but then they wouldn't have built this. Your builds feel more important when you do this, because now there's a reason for it to be there instead of just looking good. But how do you build things with a story if you're on single player? Well, it's simple. Take a look at Tango's decked out build. He didn't build it because of some crazy story, but he did build it to cover his game, so it serves a purpose. When building, ask yourself, why is this here? If you have an answer, then your build has a story. For example, why is this build here? Well, in this case, it's to cover up Tango's game. Creativity and story go hand in hand, but you can tell a story simply by covering a farm with something cool. Look at Grian's base, for example. All these rocks hold different farms, and even the portal could have been left on the ground, but instead, Grian's using his build to tell a story about these floating magical rocks. All it takes is a little bit of imagination and you can come up with a really cool build idea like this one. I've been using one trick this entire video to make these builds look even better, so comment what you think it is before I reveal it at the end. Scale is obviously something that Hermits push the limit of every single season. Their builds are absolutely massive, but it's also what makes them so impressive. I think huge builds can look really cool, but I personally prefer when scale is used to create interest. A perfect example is Scar's base. The castle is massive as well as the volcano, but these houses are a little bit smaller. When walking in his base, you don't feel small. However, the castle and volcano create interest. You can see them peeking over the houses, and in my opinion, this makes those builds look 10 times better. If we take a look at Bdubs base, it's pretty big, but there's a ton of small detail. And since it's supposed to be a very big factory, the build looks great and it doesn't feel too big. What also helps is the trees and bushes. They're just the right scale for a Minecraft player, and they might be a little smaller even to make the factory appear bigger. Moving on though, scale is a great way to make your builds look cool without spending hours building small details. Scar's castle uses only a couple of different blocks, and there isn't many details, but because it's such a massive build, it still looks great. From a distance, you don't notice that most of the blocks are the same. Sure, they change a little bit, but on this scale, the build is usually seen from far, which means you can get away with leaving out some details. However, you can tell that these smaller houses that are meant to be seen from up close are very detailed. Taking a look at the volcano, it's almost all made of stone, but who cares because we're looking at it from far. Same with Grian's base. Even though he uses more variety of blocks, in general, it's very simple. The details are mostly focused on the buildings wrapping around the rock. So if you want to build better, either build small and very detailed, or build big with less detail, or mix both and you get something that's even better and more immersive. Which brings me to Hermitcraft is a very chaotic server, and so are the builds. The shopping district is absolutely all over the place, but what if I told you it's one of the reasons those builds look so good? And that's because of 2 different reasons: the charm of Minecraft and immersion. Most typical Minecraft worlds are all over the place. You build what you want, where you want, and usually it ends up looking a little something like Hermitcraft's shopping district. At least that's how I used to build in Minecraft before. So when you see different styles of buildings all over the place, it's kind of nostalgic. And because it's nostalgic, it makes it almost nice. The clutter of builds everywhere also creates immersion. Since you can see different builds from all kinds of angles, you feel immersed. The entire server is filled with different builds, so the world feels full. Whether you're walking in the world yourself or you're watching a Hermitcraft video, the world feels alive and there's stuff going on everywhere, and that makes the builds feel less out of place. Let's look at Bdubs' base from season 10. Before the forest, his builds felt a little random, but after the forest and a few rocks were built, his builds started to feel like they belonged in with the terrain, and that connection between the build and the nature creates immersion, and it makes the build look better. Before revealing the secret every single builder you watch uses to make their builds look better, let's talk about finally, aesthetic. Every builder on Hermitcraft has a different style. However, I was able to spot a couple similarities that they all use. So I broke it down into the look of their builds, the block choices, and the proportions. The look of their builds, although all different, kind of have a couple of similar traits. And that is what I'm calling the cartoon look. A lot of builds on Hermitcraft use bold colors, and they're also very dramatic shapes. This style applies very well to Minecraft because of the blocks available in the game. Plus, it's not very difficult to like this style. Some builds are super complex, and whether it looks good or not depends on who's looking at it, but in my opinion this style is very universal and it's kind of difficult not to like it. It's colorful, it looks cool, and it kind of feels familiar. The colors they use are very vibrant and they attract the eye. And again, there's a ton of colorful blocks in Minecraft to choose from. Another thing is a lot of the builds on the Hermitcraft server are symmetrical. What this does is it tricks your brain to like the build more. Let me explain. What I mean is symmetry gives a sense of balance. It looks clean and it's satisfying to look at. It might sound crazy, but our brains are literally programmed to prefer symmetrical things. So if your build is symmetrical, theoretically it automatically looks better. Now take that with a grain of salt, of course, but in general symmetry looks very good, and a surprising amount of builds on Hermitcraft are actually symmetrical, which explains why they look great. Finally, this trick is used by every single Minecraft builder you know, I guarantee it, and it's composition. Believe it or not, a lot of the Hermits actually think about the angles to record their builds. They make sure to capture the best looking side while sometimes ignoring the rest. But when you take a look at it yourself, you might be a little disappointed. Imagine if Grian never showed the back of his builds. You would never know if it's done or not. Same on Instagram, a picture is taken from one angle, and that angle might look good, but if you're making a build for a picture, why bother doing the back? This applies to every single builder online, but it's also used on Hermitcraft. I'm not saying their builds only look good from one angle, but I can confidently say that every Minecraft builder captures their build in the best way possible so you think it looks good. If you want to do this yourself, you can look into the rule of thirds or the golden ratio and so much more. I've actually been using the rule of thirds to put focus on different builds in this video. The trick with this is to basically have your focus on one of these white lines, or if you want more focus on something, you can line them up with the intersections of two lines. And if you can find an example where I did this in the video, comment the timestamp and I'll pin your comment. The other trick I personally use to make things look better is fog. Fog is a super simple way to give more depth to your builds, and I recommend you try it. Since the regular fog in Minecraft looks absolutely disgusting, I use a mod called Simple Fog. These are my settings, you can copy them, and I personally think this makes a huge difference. And that's how Hermitcraft builds look so good. If you're still watching, comment the word build so I know you're one of the real ones. Like the video, subscribe, and with that, have a great rest of your day.